Okay, I'm going to have to go. Hi, everybody. If you're here, I'm going to go message you in the other live because I could not get in. So let me try to go to that other live. And then I had to open a new window. I had to open a new live window. Okay. Sorry, everybody. Because I don't know why that didn't work. And now the lighting's all messed up. Let's see, where am I here? Okay, hopefully everybody will find me here. And I might have to go back in there and tell them. You might have to click out of this one. Okay, let's see. We're going to wait until people find us here. Hey, Colin, thank you. I had to start the live all over again because it just, I don't know, I couldn't get into it. Hi, Mark, you found it. I don't know, I couldn't get into my other live, so I'm going to wait a little bit because there was quite a few people waiting. So we're just going to give it a minute for everyone to get into the room here. I don't know why that happened. Probably because of all the, oh, hi, Beverly. Okay, good. So we're going to give it just a second for everyone to get into the new room here. I don't know why it didn't work. It was weird that for 5 minutes I was trying to get into my own live and I couldn't get in. So hopefully people saw my message of clicking out of that one, come into this new one. I don't know, it's not over. It's starting. Okay, hopefully people see that. I'm going to give it another minute. Let me see how many people are here now. Okay, people are starting to make it into the room now. Okay, got the notification. Good. Sorry, everybody. I could not get into the live that I scheduled. I was trying to be all organized and ready because this was quite the adventurous day today. I am happy to report that, thank you, Beverly, you sent me an email. Okay, to my new email. Yes, if you all want to send me an email or if you have interesting orb photos or just interesting photos or you have a question, I'm at Dr. spelled all the way out, Dr. Andrea Media at gmail.com. So DOCTOR, Andrea Media. Okay, I might have to go to the other one and message. We are all in the other video, in the other live video that just started. Oh my gosh, like why did this happen? Okay, so I'm going to get out of that one, get into this one. Hopefully everyone moved over. Otherwise they're like, what is going on? So it looks like Beverly, let me see if everyone's here. Is everyone here? Beverly, Robert. Okay, hopefully you guys are all here. Okay, so this is going to be really awesome because, man, have I done some groundwork. So what I'm happy to report is there are still so many mysteries and adventures to have in Arizona. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I have a really interesting house, as you all know, because you watch my channel. Lots of mysteries in my house, but I'm trying to show you the surrounding area now. So the video I just posted this afternoon, it's like a 2-minute video. I show you kind of how my neighborhood is smack dab in the middle of, basically, we're surrounded by the desert and all the old remnants of the old mines. And so I point out the old miner's shack there. And okay, so I've got some drone footage because I'm just standing in that neighborhood trying to be really discreet because I didn't want the neighbors to yell at me. There is a trail that you can actually walk into that miner shack, but I'm also trying to be really careful because I don't want the whole world coming to find things. And just to give you an idea, originally, now the Superstition Mountains are across town. I live by a different mountain range where there are still old mines, caves, and like I showed you that miner's shack. If you watched my video I just posted this afternoon. But what I'm going to show you on this drone footage is shots of the inside and the outside of the intact miner's shack and the white quartz vein that still exists. Now, the original Lost Dutchman Mine, which is out by kind of a little bit near Apache Junction and the Superstition Mountains, I'm going to show you some of that too because I have so much information about that. But right in my backyard, I literally can pan for gold. So this is what's laying around my yard, around the area. I got the desert all around me. So in my own yard, I'm allowed to pick this up. So this is what I'm talking about. This is that white, and I picked up a small one. There's huge ones in my yard that are like just there. Anyway, Do you see the little gold veins and streaks running through this? The original, let's see, the Mammoth Mine, which was the biggest gold discovery at the Superstition Mountains, they did find a lot of this crystalline white quartz with these gold lines running through it. And then there was a huge gold vein that they mined, and it produced thousands of pounds of gold. And so this is just an example. Now, on this drone footage, let me show you this miner's shack. And this is the shack. Remember, I said my neighbor sees an old miner walking through their house with, the long beard. It looks like a real person, but it's clearly someone from the 1800s. Let me cue up this video here so it starts from the beginning. Start back there, please. Okay, I gotta show you. Okay, let's see if you can see. Let me get this in there. Okay. Oh, my son's friends are calling. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so here, let me get this really focused so you can see, because we just shot this footage. It's nice and clear on my phone. Let me press play. Play. Okay, now let me get it focused. Can you see that? Get in close. Now this is, if I go back, maybe it's more focused. Now that's the old miner shack I showed you up on the hill. There it is. And then right near over here is the big white quartz vein. Do you see that right? Oop. It's right by the trail. So there's no more roof on the place. There's not a roof. The window's not there anymore, but the shack itself is intact. And there it is from above. You can see right down into the floor. The floor is still intact. And you can see the trail right near it that leads to a huge vein of white quartz. This white quartz with gold running through it. It is still legal to pan for gold in many areas here in the valley. Private property. Now that's not private property right there. That is actually it's a state park. And you do have to get special permission from the state to pan for gold. And you can't use equipment and you can't sell it commercially, but you can use an old gold miner's pan. And we were kids here. We used to do it all the time. But now it's just nice to appreciate the area. But this is the same mountain range that I rode my bike up to earlier today and showed you that footage on location that the cave is at. Now, the cave I'll probably not be able to show till the weather cools off because I don't want to get stuck out there and it's hot and I don't want to pass out. But that's where the old Sentinel of Piestawa Peak is, which the old prospectors wouldn't go near it because they thought it was a ghost or a ghoul or something hiding out there. But what has been reported in this mountain range here and the Superstition Mountains are everything from ghost lights, which just seeing lights, but no one's there, almost like an old lantern from a miner, or just ghost lights. And I think they have that in the east part of the country in that mountain range. I want to say, is it in Appalachia where they see ghost lights in a particular mountain range area? Now, I don't know if that's related to UAPs or what's the answer to that. But what I know about the Superstition Mountains, that used to really be the hunting grounds of the Apache tribe. And Geronimo, if you've heard of Geronimo, was the chief of the Apache tribe. And he was, I want to say he was killed near the US-Mexico border. I'll have to fact check that. But in the late 1800s, there was word that there was gold in the area of the Superstition Mountains. And so I think the Peralta brothers were one of what I could find in the research, were one of the first two that did find gold. But, I don't think they had a happy ending there. And then some US soldiers tried to find the gold, didn't have much success. But then what was his name? Jacob Waltz. He was actually a German, and you know how they pronounce German as in Deutsch. So then they ended up calling it Dutch because people, I guess, got it confused. But so it's called the Lost Dutchman's Mine. So he actually went looking for the mine. And in the late 1800s, they also found the Mammoth Mine. And there was another one near this little mini town of Goldfield. And that town was formed because all the miners and the prospectors were coming out there. And because they were looking for gold, they were shooting at the Apaches. And so a lot of Apaches, and there's actually a name for the massacre that occurred over in the Superstitions, and it's called the Bloody Tanks Massacre. And so people that lived in the area, especially around Goldfield, which is now a ghost town, but now it's kind of like a touristy area, would say they would see shadows of apparitions. Maybe it was old Apaches and ghost lights in that area. And so because all these legends were happening, those mountains took on the term the Superstition Mountains. And it was also called Superstition Mountains because there was like a large hole or cavern, and the Apaches called it the hole to hell. They believed that this large ravine or hole was like a portal to the underworld, but a lot of air would kind of get trapped in that valley range by the mountains and kick up dust storms in the area. So I think that's another reason the wind would howl and sound really strange. So it just got this legend of being very spooky around there. But what else adds to all the sightings of the ghost lights and the shadows of old Apache warriors there is it's been reported over 600 people have died trying to search for the old Dutchman's Mine. And so Goldfield still exists, and you can still rent a horse or a burro, and you can go out. There's 3 main trails. One of them is actually called the Peralta Trail, and you can search for the lost Dutchman's Mine. You can. So there was a movie too in 1949 called The Lust for Gold, starring Glenn Ford, and he played the character of Jacob Waltz. And so it was kind of his life story. So this is all true stories and legend. So why do I talk about that? Well, because after all this information started, this kind of lust for gold, and they found 2 major gold mines there. I mean, the town of Apache Junction sprung up right over there. So everyone from around the country wanted to come look for gold. So Adolf Ruth was a barber in Kansas. He found out about this like mini gold rush in Arizona. Most people were heading to California, but he was going to come to Arizona. And he did his own research too. And so he went out looking for that gold. But unfortunately, yes, Alligator Horse says Waltz allegedly killed his own nephew over the mine location. Allegedly, for sure, because we don't know if he did that, or if it was some Apache remnants or someone else. Like, we don't know for sure. Let's hope it wasn't him. But more to the story on Jacob Waltz in a second. So Adolf Ruth was like, well, I did my research. I'm going to go out there and search for the gold. So yes, he had a lot of information. And unfortunately, as he was searching, and I'll show you his written map in a second, but his body was found, and there was a note that he had broken his leg. He was resting under a tree. And so he was writing where the mine was, and he was like hiding it in his checkbook in his jacket pocket. And so when people found him, they read this. And now let me show you the exact note they found in his pocket. I'm going to show you that here now. Hold on a second. Let me get this. Was that going to show up? Because I'm going to read this to you too. Oh my gosh, let me just get the glare off it. There, you see, there's the note right there. That's the original note. And what this note said was, now a lot of it is like not legible, but it says it lies within, can't read this, square miles, where the diameter is about 5 miles and whose center is marked by the weaver's needle. I'm going to show you what weaver's needle looks like. Here we go. Here's weaver's needle. Why can't I get my hand straight without a glare? There, that's better if I do it like that without a glare. That is a picture. See that? Of weaver's needle. Okay, so that's weaver's needle. It's just a mountain, kind of like from the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's just this real, and you can climb this mountain as well. So let's see. me start again. So about 5 miles, and whose center is marked by Weaver's Needle, about 2,500 feet high, among a confusion of lesser peaks and mountain masses of basaltic rock. The first gorge on the south side from the west end of the range. They found a monumented trail which led them northward over a lofty ridge and then downward past Sombra Butte into a long canyon running north and finally to a tributary canyon wooded with a continuous thicket of scrub oak. And that was the last writing he scribbled in. And we don't know if those are the directions of the mine or was that the directions of the research he did and kind of brought that with him, because other people had tried to find the mine before him. But what I think is fascinating is because in my own neighborhood, when I have neighbors saying they see old miners and there's remnants of the old mines here, and a lot of the mines over by the Superstition Mountains, they were shut down because of World War I and then World War II. There's a lot of stuff out there still. There's a lot of gold. Hence why about 4 to 5 people die here each year trying to find this gold mine. You know, but it just kind of gives some credibility to all the mysteries and everything that goes around in the desert around here. And then besides that, I was reading that just a few years ago, because now people are saying there's a curse of the Superstition Mountains. So people that do go looking for gold, they end up having a terrible time or their life goes out of control afterwards. And here's a story from a few years ago. A father who was flying his own private plane had his 3 sons in the plane, and they crashed right into the Superstition Mountains, and none of them survived. So more legend is now saying there is something to the curse. And maybe because of the massacre of the Apache Indians long ago, or the 600 people that have died trying to find the gold in there. And then people saying they see the shadows and the ghost lights and the screams coming from the Superstition Mountains. But the wild thing is, you yourself can go and kind of do that adventure too. I think I'm probably not going to do that one yet. I'm going to kind of search for that cave in the area where I live, because the Superstition is about an hour from me. I think I'm going to stay in my immediate area to begin with. And because I really want to find that cave. And my friend who has found the cave, I'm going to have her lead me to it, and I'll do a video from there. But I thought that was really interesting. Okay, so let's look at some of the comments. Tried to send the orb photos. Yeah, I kind of messed up the email. So it's Dr. Andrea Media. So it's DOCTOR Media. Wait, Dr. spelled out Andrea Media @gmail.com. Okay. Australia's here. Thank you. Great. Talk slower might help. Oh, I have an echo. Oh my gosh. Forgot about my microphone. Could you guys hear me? My microphone is way over there. See, I get so excited about the topic we're talking about. I forgot my microphone. Could you guys hear that before? Do I have to do it all over again? Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I forgot my microphone. Okay. Well, hopefully you heard all that, so I don't have to repeat all of that. If you guys heard it, can someone at least comment that you did hear that and I don't have to say that? Oh, you heard just fine. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Crystal with gold vein running through it. There's also diamond mines in your area. Oh, Judith, where are you? There's diamond mines. Gold panning is really fun here. We have a couple. So Goldfield, which is still out near where the Lost Dutchman Mine is, near that area. Yeah, they still have some fun touristy things, and you can actually pan for gold there, and they'll find like little flecks and sometimes little tiny little nuggets. Yeah, so might be worth $5. So that's not bad. It's just really fun to do. And I see in the park in the desert around me, there's a lot of people. I've seen them hiking with the metal detectors. And but gosh, it's so hot out here. Like you have to wait till the weather cools off. And yeah. Okay, let's see. I have a friend that has a Tesla car. While driving through a graveyard, there were many silhouettes of people walking around the grounds in the camera frame. Yeah, I actually looked into that. So what it's an infrared, it's not lidar, or is it lidar? It's infrared, and it does pick up, like, it's trying to make sense of what it's picking up. So if it sees a fire hydrant, it might show it as that. But if it's something else, it'll show it as a person when maybe it's like a short tree or something. Um, because some people have debunked that and tried that in other areas, and it's like, oh, it's a person. It's like, yeah, no, that's not a person. It's like a statue. Now, is there a remote possibility of that? Okay, fine, maybe, but I think that kind of got debunked. So, but yeah, I saw those videos about Teslas picking that up on their screens. And then, okay, thank you. You guys heard me okay. Let's see. Hopefully you received the email. Oh, Sasquatch tracks. Thank you. If you sent me pictures of that, yeah, I will check my email out. Pennsylvania's here. Upstate New York. Oh, upstate New York. Herkheimer diamond mines. Found a lot of diamonds there. Mhm. That's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, what we find up here, I'm actually yeah, the most beautiful, I'll just show this again in case you guys didn't see it. The most beautiful chunks of this quartz with the gold running through it. And again, I just grabbed a small one out of my yard that just isn't that, but we'll find, I mean, pieces like this big. Yeah. And like whole veins of it. And then that's probably, again, why that miner's shack is right there next to it, because they probably dug around there as well to try to find that. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, and so if you guys, I just wanted to show you, like on the video I just posted before, because you could see the miner shack, like these neighborhoods, I mean, they're built all the way up into the desert. Like all this where I'm at used to just be the Old West. It was just desert. And like I've said before, many Native American tribes lived in this area, and now it's just all neighborhoods. It's bizarre that kids that grow up in this area literally are living in history. You can just take some trails and find the Old West, like where they used to mine for gold and other things. It's wild. And I think that's why there is a lot of strange activity that happens around here. Now, someone on a previous video, because on one of my videos, I talked about how I found the secret room here in my house. There are no tunnels from my secret room here that lead to any other areas out to the desert. It's just its own restricted secret room to put stuff. When it cools off, because it gets really hot in there too. When it cools off, I'll do a video from inside of it, and I'll just post that so you guys can see how big it is. Yeah. Okay, so let's see who else is here. Okay, good. So, oh, hi Matthew. See that you're here. Thank you for being here. And oh, and B, are you still getting an echo on your side? I don't know if I'm making an echo on my audio. I hope I am not. Let's see, alligator. I panned gold once and found $8 worth. Found a $10 1892 gold piece metal detecting. That's so exciting. So there is, I've talked about Sedona. It's really close by here. And my family went and stayed up there about a little more than a year ago. And they had an old, they had what was it? Like a Goodwill. So I went in there and had all this rustic stuff. And, I got some old silver things and old things from the Old West. It's a great Goodwill up there in Sedona. So if you ever go to Sedona, go to the Goodwill because they have all the old stuff. And the change he gave me, I got like an old buffalo nickel. It was so cool. So I thought, oh, did some old timer just go in there and buy stuff and he had a buffalo nickel? I'm like, well, that was the best find. I loved that. Oh, good. You guys are not hearing an echo. Okay, great. Beardsley Manor, they say it's haunted, walked all over outside and inside it, didn't feel anything there, but it's a beautiful place. And I'm assuming that's upstate New York as well. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I would have gone inside that old miner shack because people do say they like, again, it's a neighborhood right there. And then there's that old miner shack from the 1880s. But people say they see lights in there. And most of us just like, oh, there's probably teenagers hanging out in there. But it's really great because there's a lot of kids that live in this neighborhood and people that don't even know where that is. That's why I was careful to not show like the exact street address where that's at because I don't want it to get ruined. And it's so pristine, as you can see from my drone footage. The area is so pristine. So, and usually the hikers around there are really respectful of nature, so they're not going to mess anything up. Um, anyhow, so when the weather cools off, I may walk the trail and go in there, maybe hang out there for a little bit, see what we see what we find. Again, I don't want to really ghost hunt because I don't want to bring any spirits home. Because again, I think we already have like something. n- I don't think it's ominous or evil or anything, but like I've said in my prior videos, there's something already here. Yeah, and it's kind of fun too because a lot of the channels I watch, they're not so much talking about like the authentic old west that still is alive and well, and it's so cool, like all these untapped areas that people haven't really researched or visited, and that's kind of nice too. I have to take a sip of my water really quick. Mm, okay, yeah. So I have not heard of Beardsley Manor. I'm not really sure what that one's about. Box buried in the backyard. Um, yeah, if we're referring to my yard, someone asked me before if I wanted to do ultrasound or scanning of the yard because the pool that is filled in. I don't want to know if there's something in there. I really don't even want to know if there's something buried in my backyard because whatever illicit activity went on in this house before I owned it, like I don't want any part of it. Like, yeah. So if it's buried there, I guess it's gonna stay there. I'm not looking. Um, okay, we've got Southern Colorado here. Oh, where your dad went camping with his buddies. Yeah, that's really funny. Or really fun. It's awesome to kind of be in an area where you can kind of any old legends or anything, and you can go back and revisit them. It's really interesting. Yeah. So if I go, because I think the next place I want to go, and again, have to wait till the weather cools off. I want to go to Tombstone, kind of show the area around there. Without just real time because all these shows that go down, they just make it all dramatic and have spooky music, and I mean I just want to see it like like what's the real energy or anything we experience. Plus I just love a good adventure. I have to tell you, today was really fun because I was like, I've got to get footage so people can see that all these things I talk about, like they're real. I want to start showing you things. I think someone also asked me, can you start showing pictures? So getting that drone footage and riding my bike up there and kind of like being really stealthy and filming that was so fun today. That was just like a 10-year-old, like I was a 10-year-old kid again having an adventure. So this has been really fun for me too. But yeah, I would love to show you guys Tombstone coming up, Jerome. We'll go to Sedona to check out the vortex. And then, like I said, all the UAP sightings people are seeing in not just Sedona, but another area right outside Flagstaff. Yeah. And are any of you in your area, are you hearing about more sightings of UAPs in your area? Because when I hear that people are saying they're seeing ghost lights in the mountain range near where I was just showing you the drone footage, and then out by the Superstition Mountains in particular. And then if you try, well, I'll just say, yes, ghost lights there. But if you're going to look on Google Earth of what I'm talking about, the Superstition Mountains is a huge mountain range, huge. Probably that's why 4 to 5 people die in there a year, because if you don't know what you're doing or you don't have a satellite phone to help you with mapping and you don't have a burro or a horse to carry your water in your packs, I mean, it is like going into the Old West when you go in there because they don't allow helicopter drop offs. Kind of like how they're changing the rules at Mount Everest. Um, have you guys sorry, I had an itch had an itch on my leg. Um, have you seen the, changes they have to do on Mount Everest? Because of all the backups of people walking up that mountain and leaving all the trash and the human excrement, and they can't get the bodies back down. So they're starting to change some of the regulations, like no more helicopter drop offs. They have to use yaks like they did years and years ago to carry up supplies. And they are going to use drones carrying up oxygen bottles. So very similar to the Lost Dutchman Mine, no helicopter drop offs. You have to use a burro or a horse. And I was trying to find, but I didn't have time before this video went live tonight. But there are some guides that will take you in, but you kind of really need to be prepared for the desert and don't do it in the summer. I don't know how people cross the desert because people come up through Mexico and cross our desert through Arizona and Southern California. Oh my gosh, I don't know how they do it because, and that's why they have volunteer groups that leave stations of water. I mean, it's humanitarian because, yeah, you will just die in the desert. It is really hot out here, and like I've said it before, even though these neighborhoods, they come up all the way to the old mines and the shacks in the desert, but you can still get lost in this desert just because there's a neighborhood right there. If you kind of get turned around, you won't get out. So yeah. So there's that. What was I talking about? So by the Superstition Mountains, there's also Roosevelt Dam. So if you're looking on Google Earth and you'll see like that body of water, Roosevelt Lake, Roosevelt Dam, the Superstition Mountains. So that part of Arizona, because it's really kind of fun. See if you can find Weaver's Needle, like I showed you the picture of, because that's one of the landmarks to finding the Lost Dutchman Mine. Yeah. But you really kind of have to be an experienced hiker because I showed you a little bit of the pictures of that. You can Google it. If you Google Lost Dutchman's Mine images, I mean, you have to be an experienced hiker to go down in there. But there is, I was watching some videos. There's some retired men in their 70s and their 80s, and that's what they do every day. They take their horse or their burro and they just kind of go off into the trail and they look in one certain area and they come back the next day. They do a different area. It's kind of fun. Let's see. Oh, the OK Corral. Yes, that's the area I do want to look. I haven't been there since I was a kid. So now as an adult with like all this video equipment, I would love to do it there. So thank you, B. Thank you for saying that. And hello, Loretta. Welcome. How are you doing tonight? Hope all is well. Are you working tonight? Because I know you work hard. Okay, let's see. My house has the souls of people who have lived here years ago. My house was built in the early 1800s. I found that when I was a child at the age of 6, it scared the heck out of me. Harmless only. Yeah. You guys, I'll say it again. I have had some comments from people saying, oh my gosh, you're a doctor. Why do you talk about stuff like this? It's ridiculous. You should lose your license, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, until you've experienced something, like, you don't know. Like, I think even me, maybe 25 years, 30 years ago, or maybe longer, I would have been like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. Like, I need to see it to believe it. I've had so many things since then. I think most of you know, even if it's not like you haven't like cited an apparition or a spirit or haven't had something weird happen, like you must have at least have like an unusual coincidence or serendipity to be like, okay, that was weird. Or deja vu. I don't know, just like anything interesting that makes you think, huh. But like I said it before, just telling my real life stories. Okay, let's see. So yes, if you lived in a house, I completely believe you because weird things can happen. Let's see this comment. I lived in a line camp in the desert near the Franklin Mountains in the 1970s. Being alone at night finally got to me and I quit that ranch. Yes. Franklin Mountains. Is that in New Mexico? Just clarify where that is. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of the Native Americans, they find that the Superstition Mountains, like especially the Apaches, it was a very sacred area for them. Like, so I mean, some of these mountains, they have a lot of legends and superstitions to them. Oh, West Texas. Okay. Franklin Mountains are in West Texas? Oh, no, New Mexico. Okay. Maybe it's between the two. Maybe the mountain range goes across. Okay. Interesting. Only experienced a few things, but there's too much out there to not be open-minded, my opinion. Near El Paso. Okay. Yeah, totally agree in that. Though it is funny because the longer I live, the more open-minded I have become. I mean, I've always been open-minded, but now more so than ever. Absolutely. I didn't believe in ghosts until my whole family experienced it. Don't you love it when you talk to some of the elders in your family and they like say they, have always been like a serious person and, kind of doing their routine every day. And then one day they hit you with a ghost story and you're like, what? Like you've been sitting on this for years and you never shared this. And they're just like, yeah, yeah. Isn't that the funniest thing? I think there's at least one person in every family that has a really great ghost story. And the one, and I've already said it, you guys have already seen it on my video. My biggest personal ghost story was, when I thought one of my patients followed me home in my car because I kept seeing someone kind of waving to me in my peripheral vision in my passenger seat. It's only happened that one time. It's never happened again. And if you haven't seen that video, it's called Did I Drive a Ghost Home? And then weird stuff happened once I did get home. So, that, and of course, my husband has the experiences with the person that was killed in my house. So, yeah, and and my husband is not, as you know, he's been on the video before. He's not like he's a pretty down to earth, normal person, right? So it's always shocking when someone has a ghost story that you don't expect that to come from, right? Yeah. And it's funny too, because now some people that I work with now, and actually some of my patients, they're like, oh my gosh, I saw your video. Because I haven't been advertising this to my patients or to people I work with. I'm trying to keep it on the, because I just I don't know. I don't want people to look at me weird. But now they're seeing it and they're like, oh my gosh, I saw your videos. And it's like, it's a little embarrassing. But then they'll say like, oh my gosh, they're so interesting. Maybe they're just saying that to my face, but it is kind of funny because words getting out. Oh, well, maybe it'll help other people tell their stories. That's what I can hope for. I tried to pin his comment. There was a trauma doctor that commented on one of my videos, and now I can't find the comment. And he was telling a story about his house and he has spirits. And I thought, oh, yeah, okay, that's cool. Like, come on, doctors, come out and tell your stories. Don't be afraid, Okay, let's see. Judith, life after death is eternal. My gifted grandmother died and came back. She told me that she was no longer afraid of death. You only die permanently once, but you live for eternity. Well, that's beautiful. And I agree with that. Okay, I'm taking another sip because, again, I rode my bike today right up to the desert to show you guys the miner shack. So I'm like, okay, it's taken me a while to cool down from that. And then let's see, where are we now? If you guys haven't come to Arizona, let's see, we're in the monsoon season. It's really hot and humid here right now. So, but I just really had to show you that so you could see that the things I'm telling you, these are all real things. So that's the first thing I'll have more things to show you. I'm kind of excited. Thank you for that, Beverly. Thank you for that. Okay. And so I think I fleshed out the story of the Sentinel of Squaw Peak. That was the one that the old prospectors said they saw, that it was an entity with fangs, claws, fangs, bulging eyes, a torn face, long hair, and would hang out in front of that cave over here, Piestawa Peak. Now, the miner shack I just showed you on the drone footage, that's the Piestawa Peak Valley range of mountains, and it's smack dab in the middle of Phoenix, which is wild. It's wild. I personally don't think that was a ghost or an apparition. Again, the reports were made in the late 1800s. I kind of think it had to be an old wounded Native American or a wounded miner or someone who just kind of lost their mind and now they were just a hermit. That's really what I think it was. A lot of skeletal bones and skulls have been found in this area that I just showed you on the drone footage. Of course, wildlife too. Human remains have been found over the decades here. And I think the most modern recent one I was talking about that was the hiker. She wasn't attacked or anything. I think she died of heat and dehydration, and they did end up finding her remains in this area. She still had all her hiking clothes on, and she was intact, not attacked. But I think that's the most recent find of skeletal remains in the area, which is super creepy, by the way. Like, usually most wild, I call it my backyard because I could throw a stone and be in the desert. But in most areas of the country, like the forest or the meadows or something near you, wherever you are, um, I, I think it's just a little bit more, and I could be wrong. Maybe there's amazing things there, but like in our area, it's like, oh yeah, there was skeletal remains. Native Americans were killed there. Old miners were there. This ghost was seen there. There's the old mine. Like there's so many things around here. It's just really cool. Scott's been to Phoenix and Sedona. Yeah. I'm sure there's so much more to Sedona than just like they say the beauty and the energy and the vortices that you can experience there. Um, from my own personal experience there, it's the sky. It's the sky that is the most amazing part. You can see the stars as far back as the beginning of the universe. At least that's what it feels like. And the stuff you see flying through the sky is like nothing else you'll ever see. There was supposed to be a meteor shower at the beginning of just this past week. I didn't see it because I couldn't stay awake. I don't know. Did any of you see the remnants of that meteor shower? Life is a gift. You have a few ghost stories. Love to hear them. I would love to hear them. Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be great. But yeah, if any of you saw any of that meteor shower, I did not get to see that. But what I do, because we're kind of I've shown you we're in a range where there's some mountains. When I do go outside on the side of my house, I can kind of see most of the city. And when I look up, if there's not clouds, I'll hang out there sometimes at night. We've talked about building like a little, like a deck out there just to really hang out for a long time. I wait for those Phoenix lights to return. I do. I look out there in the sky all the time. Every now and then we will see weird flares from Luke Air Force Base that we can see all the way to the west. Every now and then we'll see fighter jets going over at night. They're very black. They're quite quiet compared to the ones that go during the day. So I'm like, oh, well, maybe they're practicing night missions. You just see a lot of stuff in this Arizona night sky. I know a couple of you, I don't know if she's on here tonight. She used to live in my neighborhood. Now she's in Tucson. I posted that video about the woman that was spinning in that basket. Did you guys see that video I posted about that? Like the scariest footage I've ever seen. That was in my neighborhood too. That was right on this Piestawa Peak Mountain Valley range, where that's why I won't go hiking to the shack now, because I don't want to have to be flown off with a helicopter. Yeah, that was right here. And my God, that was horrific footage of her spinning more than 200 times around in that basket. If you guys haven't seen that video yet, oh my goodness. So I guess if she's not here right now posting, who else was telling me too? Another neighbor that the woman did survive, but her face when she came out of there was all black and blue, because when she was spinning around in that gurney or in that basket, trying to get up in the helicopter, like the centrifugal forces were sloshing the blood back and forth, and her whole face was bruised up and swollen. That poor lady. And she was in her mid 70s. Yeah. Thank God she survived that though. Okay, please check the, oh yeah, 4 ghost story. Thank you. Yeah, because I did. I went through the comments and I tried to find your ghost story. So now if it's in the comments of the live, I did not check there, but I will check the comments of the live, because that's one thing I didn't look there. I was just looking under comments, but thank you, because I do want to see that, because I want to share it. I want to share it with others if we can. I wonder if I can do that right now. Let's see. Let's read, the Scots. When I lived in Maryland, my daughters opened a portal with a Ouija board and negative spirits came through. You have to close the Ouija board. Yeah, I'm not going near a Ouija board. Alligator horse. Interesting fact. Most people do not look above eye level. The sky is very interesting. The sky is very interesting. I would agree. Uh, Beverly says, this isn't creepy, but it's neat to me. I can watch the rocket ships launch from Port Canaveral from my driveway. It's nice to see because sometimes they fly directly over my house. Yeah, it is interesting because I think when was the last scare we just had militarily? Because again, we have a huge Air Force base here. And oh my gosh, we were seeing these huge military crafts going over Phoenix and then jets all the time. And I was like, what are they getting ready for? Yeah. And then sometimes we'll see like tons of tanks like on the railroad tracks. And so yeah, I think maybe I'll have a heads up if something I'll share with you guys. I'll have a heads up if something militarily is happening because yeah, we see stuff in the skies here for sure. But yeah, I keep my eye out for those UAPs because yeah. Yeah, no Ouija boards. I agree. Your daughter saw the meteor shower. Very cool. Was it the Chinese balloon? Yeah. I did not see that. I did not see that. Yeah. So remains were found by my old home. Not sure what it was. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know. That's why I don't want to like, I don't want to dig up the other stuff. It's so weird too, because not only did they fill in the pool here, they built a patio over it and a fireplace over it to make it like really hard to excavate under there. And again, I'm not looking under there. Not going to do it. You guys, I've told you before in my videos, this house was owned by a couple different families. The first one did go to prison for manslaughter. And then the other one, the rumor in the neighborhood is that he did go to prison too for another crime. So lots happened in this house, hence all the weird stuff that goes on here and my secret room and the other weird things I've talked about on my other videos. So yeah, I don't want to dig through my backyard and find any. No. Mm-mm. And our yard is nice now. It's like we have a nice, comfortable yard. Let's see. Bullet points, keywords, please. Are you from the UK? I'm imagining you're from the UK. I don't know. Judith said, years ago, my mom and I were sitting on the couch having coffee. There was the sound of a woman sobbing. My mother looked at me and asked me if I heard what she heard. Just another rest time loop. Isn't it so weird? Have you guys ever had that happen where you are, maybe just at home, or maybe you're in a really sacred site or somewhere where there's been activity and you hear something and the person with you, like, did you hear that too? Like, what was that? That's always fun when that happens. Yeah. Yeah. But so I just think the legend, I mean, I think it's so cool too because everyone here is of the generation of we just love a good adventure, do we not? And so I just love sharing with you that all these things are still accessible in Arizona. Like it's so cool that you can still search for the lost Dutchman mine, or you can hike the trails that the miners hiked in the 1880s. And we still find arrowheads in the area. We do. And in fact, I have some things I am going to donate to the Arizona. We have a museum here, the Herd Museum. Yes. So yes, I have some artifacts. Probably won't. I don't know if they are artifacts, so I don't want to disrespect anyone. So I am going to be giving them to the museum, so I won't show them here, but I have them. But yeah, you can hike these old trails and still find old artifacts. And for the most part, you are to leave things there. I think giving it to the museum is fine as well because they really have a great Native American exhibit. But there's still so much magic and adventure here, and isn't that great that you can still kind of experience that? I just love that because I think everyone stays inside now, and especially young people just watching things on the internet and online, and they're not getting out there and having these adventures. Okay, so don't go looking. You might not like what you find. Exactly. No. Remains were found here in 1982, and the person was just identified in the past several months. DNA match. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's It's kind of scary. Yeah. So, and then lately when, cause my husband was on my other video here and we were talking about things happening in the house, as of late, and I don't know if it's cause I'm talking about it so much, I haven't had experience, but my husband said he's been kind of seeing more things from the corner of his eye because that's kind of what he sees. Again, it's in the family room, the room I don't hang out in, the room where the person was killed in my house. And again, it's public record and I found it in the newspaper. Can you imagine, like, you research your own house and address because things are happening and then you find out all these things? I guess in Arizona, and thank you for those of you who have posted, realtors and stuff in Arizona don't need to disclose if there's a haunting or if there was a killing or a death in your house. And again, I'm not mad about it. We love our house here. I feel like this house is full of wonder and I don't know. I just love this. I do love my house, but I think activity has been picking up with him, and I don't know if it's because we're talking about it a lot, but we're trying to stay positive. No evil or like what's the word? It's not oppressive, really. Nothing oppressive, nothing evil. You know, just it's a very good vibe in this house. But I think activity picked up since we were kind of talking about it, and now it's kind of out there for you all to think about. And so, yeah. But again, it's all good, and yeah. So I don't know if any of you have experienced that when you're finding things out in your house or your neighborhood. Do you find talking about it makes things kind of pick up more? Again, I'm still not watching the ghost shows right now. I feel like I'm kind of getting my fix by doing these videos and now kind of doing more research into the desert around me because it's fascinating. Fascinating. And so I'm getting my fix that way because as I've said before, the ghost shows were I was just having experiences that I don't want to happen again from that. Like in my room, in my bedroom, it's like, oh no, no, no. Have you guys ever had that watching scary shows, like reality ghost shows, and all of a sudden something happens in your house? Yeah, it happened. So oh, you guys looked at each other and you were like, did you hear that? My God, what was that? Beverly says, many years ago, I visited my best friend who was working in Connecticut. She loved cemeteries, so we went to a few. At one cemetery, there was a creepy church, and she heard, "Get out." So I did. Yeah, I think I would have done the same thing. Yeah, I would have. I think I would have skedaddled. I wouldn't have been like, yeah, no. The corner of the eye has cones versus rods, center of the eyes. Thank you for that. Because yes, it's you do see different things in the periphery because again, it's the cones and the rods. You're absolutely correct. That's right. Corner of the eyes do pick up different things. You're absolutely correct. So that's why he sees I call them shadow people. My husband doesn't like to call it that. He doesn't see like a 3D person. It doesn't look like a real person. Just looks like kind of like something walking by real fast is how he describes it. And it's not me because I always announce my presence. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm here. Let's see. So at that time, we heard that voice. My husband was DJing a party and they handed out plastic microphones and complaining about them. I found out when I called him to tell him what we heard. That's cool. Be careful what you invite in. Absolutely. I don't invite anything in. It's just what's already happening here. And, and I should add that my husband is very spiritual. He goes to church every Sunday. He's very good about that. I work on weekends and I work on Sundays. I see patients on Saturdays and Sundays. So, my husband doesn't. So he's, he does all the right things and he still has experiences. So what do you say about that? And by the way, he's like the best person I know, like the best heart. His patients love him, especially elderly patients. He just has, and I've talked about this before, like he's the dog whisperer, like all dogs, whether they're mean or not, they just come running to him and they just love him. So I don't know. I think he's got this aura of protection around him or something, but yeah, he sees stuff. So let's see. Judith says, my grandmother, my mother, sister, aunt, who I was close to, and I were all empaths. Yeah. I feel like that's a lot of responsibility being an empath because you really absorb the energy of whether good or bad all around you, like a sponge. So it can get kind of exhausting. Like it's exhausting being in a crowded room because you're really absorbing a lot of that emotion and energy. And not to sound all woo woo, but I think there's a little bit of science behind this because, everyone's brain is wired differently. You have some people that are, they're born and they have they're gifted, or you have people with high IQ and low IQ, or you have people that can see colors. There are different facets to the mind that we are still trying to figure out. So could people be more sensitive to emotions? Like maybe you can't see the colors of music or whatever, but you might be able to sense emotions more than the next person. And so an empath absorbs all that. And that's why empaths need that recharge time to be alone in a room for a while and just like, don't talk to me. I need to recharge. So yeah. Stopped watching ghost stories, have too many in real life. Yeah. Yeah. I used to love watching, and even like I used to watch like the tame scary movies. I can't watch like gory horror movies, but I can't even do that anymore. I can't even watch the tame ones anymore because it's like when you have enough going on in your life, you don't need to watch scary movies. But I do have a question because what do you guys think about? I just finally watched them. It's the Conjuring series because it's based on, my God, these movies are so scary, but like I started watching it and it was like so good, but so scary. Who was it based on? It was it was a husband and wife team. I can't believe I forgot their names. You guys are going to know. Um, Oh, darn it. But anyway, I'm curious if you've ever seen those movies because they are really, really well made. Um, and also, there's a lot of controversy with the Conjuring house. It's based on a real haunted house back east. And I've kind of been following that a little bit. Like the owner is, I don't know, she's got a lot of stuff going on, and she's almost blaming that guy from the Ghost Hunter show. I forgot his name, but anyway, there's a lot of controversy going on there. And then there was some like psychics in there tapping on things, saying they were hearing things, and then someone was like, they're totally like they're charlatans, and there's just a lot going on with that. But Ed and Lorraine Warren, thank you for that. Yeah, so it basically the Conjuring movie series kind of follows the different cases that Ed and Lorraine Warren had. And yeah, the movies are super scary, don't get me wrong, but they're really well made. And so yes, I did watch those. I have to admit, I did watch the Conjuring movies and I was like, it's not the kind of movie you could watch again and again, but gosh, it was good. It was so good. Um, and Lorraine Warren was extremely Catholic. Like she prayed a lot over the areas she visited, and she really did help a lot of people. So I thought she was interesting. Let's see. Life is a gift. I'm an empath and it's exhausting for sure. It's frustrating for others though, because I'm very sensitive, knowing before being told. Yeah. Life is a gift. Are you in healthcare? Because a lot of us in healthcare and nurses and anyway, people in healthcare, caregivers tend to be empaths. So I'm just curious if you are also in healthcare. Let's see. Beverly, I stopped watching scary movies, ghost shows, and anything like it after one of my good friends passed away in 2019. She loved that stuff, but just lost interest in it. That makes sense. That I completely could see that. That makes sense to me. It's a little ghost. Patrick says, we listened to the interview with the daughter of that family right after leaving the movies. The kids couldn't sleep. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. They were really scary movies. I remember, and I'm still scared by those, even though so well made, but like freaky because there's, I don't know what the full legend is. They always have that weird, creepy nun in those movies. And it's just so scary. Well, they're trying to sell movie tickets. They make it super scary. Do you remember the first scary movie you ever saw, you guys? Comment there on the side, because I'm going to tell you what mine was. It has nothing to do with ghosts because even though no, I'll tell you my movie, but comment yours because I want to see, we're all in the same generation. So I'm curious if you guys are new commenters here, like I'm over 50, I'm 56 years old. So just to give you an idea, My first scary book was the Amityville Horror. I read that book. Oh my gosh, I flipped out. I was like, that is the scariest thing ever. Like, I had to get rid of the book. I thought like the book was possessed. Like, ugh, it was terrible. But the first scary movie, Jaws. Did anyone think that was like the first scary movie they ever saw? I never saw The Exorcist as a kid, so I can't count that. I knew other people that thought that was their most scary movie. Jaws, by hands down, scariest movie. Yeah. I'm curious to see your comments of what you thought the first scariest movie you remember seeing. The Omen. I wasn't allowed to see The Omen, but as an adult, I saw, yeah. Thank God I didn't see that as a kid. That would have freaked me out. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to see The Omen. I don't know why my dad, though, said it was okay that I go and see Jaws. I think I was, how old would I have been? 8, 9, somewhere around there. Like, that movie was so scary. As a kid, you have to remember, because, yeah. Shelly says The Omen terrified her. Scott says Nightmare on Elm Street. Are you that young? Scott, are you that young? Because I think Nightmare on Elm Street came out. Johnny Depp, yeah, he's in his 50s too. So I was a teenager when that came out. That movie was really scary. It absolutely was. But but then I kind of thought it was cool because by then I was a teenager. Like, let's see, Salem's Lot, the book, Stephen King in the movie. Agreed. Oh my gosh, so many Stephen King books to me used to be so amazing and so scary. I have some of his recent books, and I don't know, I just can't get into them. Just can't get into them. I love his old books, though, his old stuff. Especially The Stand. Did you guys ever read The Stand? Oh my gosh, so good. Psycho was the first scary movie. Yep. Again, I wasn't allowed to see that till I was older, but gosh, what a good movie that was, right? I think that, I mean, obviously Alfred Hitchcock, that changed movie making. Creature from the Black Lagoon, you hard to swim after that. Yeah, I could see that. Right? But same thing with Jaws. Like, to this day, I kind of can't really go in the ocean. I mean, I have gone in the ocean, don't get me wrong, but I don't enjoy it anymore. I'm always like, oh my God, is there a shark? And that's like real. Like, people still get bit by sharks. So the this is absolutely great. The Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz scared the heck out of her when she was a little kid, had to close my eyes. Okay, yes, thank you, because I forgot. Then I have to, okay, scratch that. Jaws was scary, but I have to say The Wicked Witch, because gosh, I saw that probably when I was 4 years old. Agreed. Isn't that still, when was that movie made? Like in the 1930s? And it's still, I think, one of the best movies. It just holds the test of time. Life is a gift. No, I'm not in healthcare. I have health issues all my life. You died once and came back? My sensitivity started in my teens and now you're 60. Well, I'm so glad you're here. You may have commented that before because that sounds familiar, but holy cow, you died and came back. So many NDEs that I listen to, they don't want to come back. I don't know if you had that experience. Psycho, don't take a shower. Can you imagine? Right after that movie, people were like, yeah, we're not, I'm going to skip the shower. I'm going to use the garden hose for a while. Stephen King looks scary. Yeah. He's had a lot of changes, after he was in that car accident and then he got hurt, and he's so political now too. And that kind of ruins it too. Like, I try not to be political. I really try not to be. Fun fact. I've had a couple people say, I'm out, you're MAGA. And I'm like, stop trying to pin me in a hole. Like, you don't know what I am. Maybe I'm independent. Maybe I'm libertarian. Maybe you don't know. Like, I try not to be political. So, but I feel like Stephen King has gone political, and I don't know. It's hard to read his stuff now because he puts a lot of politics in his books now, which is kind of sad because his old stuff was so good. The Omen was child's play. It was Schindler's List. Oh, I so agree. Now, the difference was where when I was a child and saw Jaws and it was raining that night and I got home and I literally thought a shark was going to come through my window. Schindler's List, I've never felt, I don't know, what's the word? Morose, depressed, horrified. the sadness, the grief. It wasn't so much it was scary. It was just like, I guess just like, God, that's what humanity is capable of. Ugh. Now that's the one movie I can only watch once and cannot watch again. And may we all pray that we never see anything like that in this country. I know stuff like that's happening in other parts of the world to this day right now. But it's, but nothing like that's happening in America as we know of. Like let's pray we don't see something like that in our country because oh my gosh. Yeah, that was a terrible movie. It was a wonderful movie, but I felt terrible for probably 2 weeks after it. I think the first scary movie I saw was It? My family was watching the movie downstairs and I could hear it and I got creeped out. So I went downstairs to watch it with them. Can we just talk about how It was the best scary movie? It was a miniseries in the 1980s on TV. And of course, it's a Stephen King book. The book is so good, but that 80s miniseries was great. I still haven't brought myself to watch the new It movies because it's hard for me to watch kids getting hurt now. So I kind of haven't watched the new ones, but agreed. It was great. It. And Alien. Because I was probably, how old was I when I saw Alien? Was I 12 or 13? Oh, when that alien popped out, like that was it. Like that. No, like nightmares for a long time. The Omen is from 1976. You're 63 now. Oh, okay. Oh, well. All right. I thought maybe you were like 35 or 40 because you're like Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm like, you must be very young. Let's see. Did not swim in my lake after Jaws for the whole summer. I know, right? Poltergeist. Okay. Obviously, because I live in an interesting house, I love the Poltergeist movies. And you guys know that there's the legend of that the Poltergeist movies, that the cast was cursed. Do you guys know about all that? I just love those movies so much. Like, maybe I'll do a video about it because, gosh, what happened to a lot of those actors from that movie? And remember the Native American in that movie, the shaman? He actually went and he was a real shaman. And that's why part of why he got the part of that movie. There's just so much backstory to the characters in that movie and what went on. It's really fascinating. Yes, The Exorcist was super scary. Stephen King got ran over by a minivan. I knew he got hit by something. I didn't know it was a minivan. Wizard of Oz was scary. Yeah, absolutely. Well, The Witch, right? Let's see. I worked in care most of my life, held the hand of many people who died in pain. Later, folks. Okay, well, thank you. The movie that has caused me the most anxiety is a recent movie called Fall. Okay, I saw that too. The two girls that get stuck at the top of that climbing pole or whatever. Oh my God, that movie. But wasn't that movie so good? It was so original. I've not seen anything like that. That was a good movie. So yeah, not a fan of heights either, right? It's something about getting older, that fear of heights kicks in. Night of the Living Dead. Yeah, that really creeped me out too. That movie, the original, the black and white original. Yeah. Yes, they all float. The Birds. I love the movie The Birds. I have that actually on DVD, and every October, like I replay The Birds because I like to have the TV on in the background with, I don't know, movies going. And so I play that every year. I love that movie. That's a great movie. Again, Alfred Hitchcock, right? He was just amazing. A silent movie called The Haunted Carriage. The last person to die at the end of the year is doomed to pick up the dead souls with his carriage for a full year. Oh, well, I'm going to have to look into that. I don't know what that movie is. Thank you for commenting that because I don't know what that is. So I'll have to look into The Haunted Carriage. Huh. Okay. Thank you for that. Patrick says people were placing red balloons all over our small town, dressing up and flash mobbing different intersections here. Police got involved. It was crazy. Yeah, I think I remember I saw stuff like that. People were dressing up like creepy clowns. And I think some people really got beat up too, in different parts of the country doing that. That's just too funny. Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, I saw that movie in my 20s. agreed. I left that movie with a migraine. Like, it was so awful. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Poltergeist was a scary movie that kind of freaked me out when I got older. Silence of the Lambs creeped me out. I'm in my 50s. I'm also in Phoenix, Arizona. Well, yay. Okay. Very good. Marley, did you see the video I just posted prior of I was very careful to not give away the exact location and address, but you can see part of the neighborhood where the old abandoned miner's shack is. And the legend, because in my neighborhood, my neighbors have seen the ghost of the old miner walking through their house. So in a way, I kind of wanted to prove it because I had some people asking me, come on, like, can you show some stuff? It's like, so now I'm trying to show some proof and some pictures of actual, like, yes, I'm telling you, this is right out my window. There is an old abandoned miner shack. Okay. So anyway, you're in Phoenix. So I'm just wondering if you had heard about all this too, because yeah. Kim, my first time here catching a live. Yay, you're here. It's a what are we? Yeah, Saturday night. Sometimes I lose track of what day it is. Let's see. Shelly says the Blob. Just kidding, just kidding. No, when I did see the Blob as I think it was a rerun on, I don't know, HBO or something when I was a teenager. That movie kind of freaked me out too. Like, anytime like anytime like you see a gelatinous jellyfish on the beach, don't you just kind of think, huh, what if there was like a really huge one? Kind of like the Blob. Yeah. Let's see. So, hey, Dr. Andrea, it's Annie from New Brunswick, Canada. Hey, thank you for being here, Canada. Oh, The Thing. Okay, let's just talk about how horrifying that movie was too. 1982's The Thing. Again, thank God I was a teenager when I saw it, but that was another one I was like, what? You remember like that weird hybrid spidery thing crawling across the floor? Okay. That was terrible. I won't rewatch that movie because I just thought it was just disgusting and super scary. But Kurt Russell was so great in that movie. Alligator Horse. I emailed you a ghost story. Oh, okay. Well, I will get it and I'll probably comment on the next video I do. Let's see. I saw a black and white movie on TV when I was about 8. A ventriloquist dummy was a murdering psycho. This is the 80s. I know what movie you're talking about, and I want to say it's called, I know exactly. Except, oh, so there was a Twilight Zone black and white episode where a doll was kind of killing people, but then there was also a movie that came out in the 80s, and it was like this ventriloquist puppet that was killing people too. I don't remember the name of it. I can literally see the movie poster in my head, but either way, it's always scary. Creepy dolls. Yeah. Never liked dolls. Yeah, I know. Hellraiser. Yeah. So that was, God, what decade was that? That was like the late 80s. And I think some of the sequels in the early 90s. And I purposely didn't see those movies, except, you know, how you go to your friend's house and they have it on and you catch glimpses. And I was like, what in the world is that thing? Like the thing that had pins all over his face. And then like another thing, it was like all these horrific scenes that it was on. So I looked over and I'm like, oh my God. Like I regret, it's still in my mind. Like I can see it and I don't even want to repeat it right now. Like that movie was like that gore horror that it's kind of like you can't look away, but I so regret having that image in my mind now. So, but yeah, those were more of like, I don't even know. But what I do know about those movies, I was watching, there was like a clip of it on YouTube. And it was interesting because they were having, it was like the devil person and then the innocent person having a whole dialogue together. And it was actually really good. So I'm like, huh, but there's actually good dialogue in there, but I just don't want to watch it because I don't want to see all those gory things. Because, yeah, I've seen enough. Well, here's why. And I've talked about this before. I've seen enough gory things in real life. Like when you're in healthcare and working in the hospital, like I've just seen enough trauma. Like I just can't see anymore, especially in the movies. Okay. The original Thing, 1952, was better. It was? Well, I will have to check that out because that 1980s version freaked me out. But sometimes I like the older movies because they don't have all those special effects to rely on, and sometimes that makes it scarier. So thank you. I'm going to check out the 1952 version of The Thing. Thank you for that. The Magician. Yes, that was the name of that 1980s puppet movie. Thank you for that. That's right. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Hitting the like button. Thank you. Is always helpful. Thank you. I remember when I was a teen, I went to see Nightmare on Elm Street and got a Freddy Krueger poster and pinned it to my bedroom door. After waking up, seeing Freddy's face every morning, I took it down. Yeah. Well, that was brave of you to get the poster and even put it up. Like, oh my gosh, I would have thought like he would have come out of the poster. Was it Chucky? Fallen, 1988. Fallen. It sounds familiar. I don't know what that's about. Can you say just one line what that movie was about to jog my memory? Or maybe I can Google it here in a second. Here, let me see. How do I get Fallen? Because now I want to know, what is that? I feel like I kind of know most every movie from the 60s on. If it's older than that, it's a bummer because I'm sure there's so many good movies I've missed and I don't know about. Oh, here, I'm looking at Fallen, 1998, a chilling psychological thriller. Eey. A young girl's in school, blamed for the death of a young boy. Oh, well, this looks super scary. Huh. No, I did not see that one. Okay. Have you seen Phantasm? Yeah. Yeah, back in high school, everybody saw it and was talking about it again. I only saw parts of it because I didn't actually, I don't think I wasn't old enough. I think you had to be over 15 or 16 to see it at the time. But yeah, I saw parts of it. And everybody talked about that flying orb. I remember that in the mid 1980s. Everyone was talking about that. The Green Mile is too scary. Oh my gosh, The Green Mile. It's like, I would say it's such a good movie, but some of the content matter is like when I said I don't like kids getting hurt, but it's such a good movie. It's such a good movie. Let's see. A doll named Jane killed the little girl's dad. She didn't like him. Might have been Twilight Zone. That's kind of what I remember too. I don't think I ever saw The Magician. Dark Shadows was on after I came home from school every day. It was I know. Soap opera about the vampires and witches. It was black and white and creepy. Yeah. Did you see the version of Dark Shadows with Johnny Depp, the movie? It's okay. It's kind of funny, actually. Kenneth Tobey in The Thing, 1952. I will check it out. Thank you for that. B said that. I think her name was Jane. Can't remember the girl's name. The Bad Seed. I remember the name of that title, but I don't think I ever saw that one. Try watching a scary movie at 3 a.m. Yeah, no, I know it does. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if it's real, I won't watch a scary movie in the middle of the night because honestly, and I don't know if it's because I do lucid dream, and my personal opinion about lucid dreaming is I think it does put you a little bit beyond the veil. Like, not really the in between where our souls go after we pass away, but kind of like it's almost like a string to the beginning of the other side where you can really get in tune with that. And when I watch scary movies, especially at night, it kind of puts my mind in that lower vibration, and I don't want to see those things. I had a really weird dream the other night too. It was like I had good dreams all night, and then the last one was really bad. There was like 3 people, but they weren't really people. And one was like, they were all like jesters. And one was laughing about these things he had in his hand. And he was like throwing these rocks at me. And another one was doing something else. Like, I just remember these 3, they were like jesters laughing at me doing things. And I thought, when I woke up, I was like, okay, either it's because I'm talking about all the weird things and now they're coming into my dreams, kind of like giving me a hard time, or because sometimes I get some bad comments aimed at me on YouTube. And I'm like, oh, are these like the comments in like a people form to sound? Either way, I don't know. But that's why I don't like to watch scary movies late at night. Oh, Jeepers Creepers. Oh my gosh. So those movies are so well made, very scary, very much of the time, right? But because those are some movies from the early and mid 90s, it has that real 90s vibe. And so well made, so scary, right? Talking Tina is the doll that killed the mean father on Twilight Zone. Thank you. It was Talking Tina. And Telly Savalas, wasn't he the dad on that show of that episode? Someone says, "Oh my gosh, the bad seed. Yikes." I don't watch clown movies or Sasquatch movies. Is there a scary movie based on a Sasquatch? I mean, I'm sure there is. I don't think of one. Do you guys remember this movie came out in probably 1980, 1979, 1980, and it was called Prophecy? Oh my God. It was so disgusting, but it scared the heck out of me. Oh my gosh. Kind of like the closest thing I can think of to a Sasquatch, except it was just, ugh, yeah. You never see it on reruns or anything. I think it was like one of those really trashy movies, but it was so scary. Nosferatu, 1922, A Symphony of Horror, a classic, of course. Um, and so scary for the time, right? Because that was a creepy looking actor. Since working for a funeral home, I do not watch anything with gore or that's realistic. I love the old cheesy horror movies from the 80s. Yeah, that is my vibe now. Again, when I was younger, I could watch a little bit of everything. But I do. I like the old movies from, um, some from the 50s, some from the 70s, some from the 80s, early 90s. The latest one, there's too many special effects. Too much about like possession and evil and Ouija. Like I just can't do it because I just don't want that energy coming into my room. Um, yeah. And again, there's just so many humans I've been around that have been scarier than most scary movies. So humans, as far as like not like regular patients in the hospital that needed help, but like I've talked about, like I've worked in some places, like I had to do a rotation at our Arizona mental hospital. That was really, really scary. And yeah, some people that we saw on the med surge floor coming into the hospital that had been in shootings or in gangs, and then some people that were just really, really out of control, yelling and not super nice. And they actually were really scary, and I still had to take care of them. So yeah. Okay, let's see. Final Destination. Yeah, there's some good 90s movies there. I can't read Dean Koontz. Seems like weird things happen while reading his stuff. Isn't that interesting? Did you guys know? What's the name of the book by Dean Koontz where he talks about a Wuhan virus leaking from the lab? And he wrote this book like decades ago, and everyone's pointing to like, oh my gosh, Dean Koontz talked about this in his book. He said that there was a secret lab in Wuhan, China, and a virus leaked out and it caused this whole problem. Did you guys remember hearing that about one of his books? It's kind of amazing that yeah. Yeah. The Seventh Seal with Demi Moore I remember seeing part of that. Who else was in that movie? That movie was, yeah. I'm talking Tina, and I'm going to. That was really scary. There's such a good movie. If you guys can remember the name of it? I think it was made in the 90s. There's an angel in it. Dennis Quaid is in it, and he owns this diner. And yeah, it definitely was made in the 90s. And this angel comes, who's like, I guess, a fallen angel first. They come. I don't want to give it away in case you want to see the movie. And then the good angel comes to kind of help them. And they're all like defending against the fallen angels. And they're all stuck in this diner. What is the name of that movie? It is such a good movie. Even just the opening scene, because it's set out in the desert in this old 1950s diner. And it's just people waiting for their car to get fixed. And then this fallen angel walks in disguised as an old lady. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Tammy says that was a great movie. I don't know which you're talking about. What is the name of that movie that I'm saying? Loretta, you saw that movie? I'm trying to remember the name of it. Because every time I see, like, if it's on, Michael is the name of that movie. I don't know if it's Michael. You guys, now I have to check, because if you haven't seen the opening scene of that, it's just so good. Dennis, is it Fallen? No, I think this is it right here. Let me see. No, oh my God, that's a song he wrote. Okay. I'm going to say Dennis Quaid and Angel movie, or did someone already name it? Let me see if one of you named it. Legion. Thank you. That is the name of that movie, Legion. Oh my gosh, the opening scene, you guys probably watch the first 20 minutes. That is so well done. If you've ever thought about if fallen angels and angels come to earth, yeah, that's kind of how it would go down. I think it's kind of, and it was really, really kind of scary. Hi, Kim. Thank you for being here. And I appreciate you being a member. That is super exciting. I love that. Thank you to you too, Loretta, and also to B, because I very much appreciate that. And like I said, it all goes to a good cause because I do work full time and I buy a lot for the other facility I'm at to help people out. Lots of supplies that's not covered in our budget, and I always have to buy things. So thank you. Every bit helps. Alligator horse. If you want to read a book that will frighten and make you think, read 1 second after. Read it. I completely read that book. And after I read that book, I researched EMPs and now I'm not saying I'm prepared for the apocalypse because I'm not. I mean, I believe in God. Um, if it happens, I'm ready to move to the other side. I've forgiven myself for past transgressions because I'm not a perfect person. I've not always been like the best person I want to be, but I've forgiven myself for the past. So I'm ready to move on. But that movie, if that happens to America, if a foreign entity, a foreign country wants to take us out, it's going to be with an EMP. It's not going to be that hard. You just pop that nuclear bomb up in the atmosphere. That's all they have to do. They could do it from, a boat off the Mexico coast. Just pop it in the air. That's it. I don't know if it would take the whole country out. It would probably take, well, they talk about in the book, you know what I'm talking about. I think it could take out probably if they popped it over um, the coast in Mexico, it would probably take out all of the Southwest the Texas grid is separate than the grid I'm on in the Southwest in Arizona. It would take out California, Arizona, Texas, maybe Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, like that whole area. I think Montana and all them, they'd probably be okay up there. I think the Midwest and the East Coast would be okay. However, if they're on the other side, right, like the Atlantic, kind of near the Cuban waters, then the East Coast and the Southeast would be out. And then we'd have to rely on the Texas grid because they're their own grid. But that is so possible to happen. If you guys haven't read that book, I'm surprised they haven't made a movie out of that book. Aren't you? Because that could totally happen, whether it's man-made caused by a dirty bomb or not really a dirty bomb, but like some type of trafficked nuclear suitcase bomb that they deploy up in the atmosphere. That's all it takes, or like a solar flare from the sun. It happened before in the 1800s. It took out all the telegraph wires and they couldn't communicate for a while. Well, look at us now. We're completely dependent on the internet, our phones, everything's on electric. So that book alone scared the heck out of me that I started researching how to get prepared. And again, you can never be too prepared, right? So, yeah, I would say that's a frightening thing that could absolutely come true. It could come true, I mean, as soon as October, right? The October surprise. I think about that all the time. So, yes, thank you for bringing that up. Such a good book. And you can actually that book I believe is available online. If no one's read 1 second after it, I think it is available. If you Google it, you can just read it online. And that newscaster, he used to be on ABC, Ted Koppel. He's got his own book out about EMP and we have to harden our electrical grid. He's got a whole book about that too. So, and by the way, he's prepared. He said he's prepared him, his grandchildren. And by the way, the elites and the wealthy people in this world, they're prepared for it too. So, if you guys aren't familiar with an EMP, maybe take a look at that book. It will change your mind about, gee, maybe I should be a little bit prepared because, yeah, it's going to take because what does it take? At least 1 year to make a transformer, and most electrical transformers are made in China. So, okay, I'm a little bit behind on the comments here. Let's get caught up. Michael has Travolta in it. I did. I liked that movie, Michael. I thought that was a good movie. Yes, thanks for mentioning that. The Demi Moore movie was The Seventh Sign, also with Michael Bain. Yes, I remember. I think Michael Bain's a good actor too. I like him. Warlock was a good movie. Julian Sands was found. Oh, I know. Julian Sands was found dead in the California mountains. He went hiking and they found him dead. Like, that's crazy. I did read that story about that. Like, he was fit and he was an avid walker and hiker. Like, I that was bizarre. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. I also read the 3 sequels. Um, yeah, I don't think I read the sequels. Or maybe I think I might have started the second one. Um, but yeah, I'll have to look into that too. It's just there's so much I want to read. Maybe when I'm retired. Um, let's see. I think fallen angels walk our earth, so much evil now. Yeah. I think they walk our earth, except I think they, they'll surround someone in power or even not in power, right? Because I think they can influence us and we don't realize we're being influenced. So yeah, agreed. Spider Babies, and it does not have spiders, but it does have Lon Chaney Jr., A Wild Story. Is that a movie? See, all these things I've never heard of. The Fog, Stephen King. That movie was with the original Fog was with Adrienne Barbeau, if you guys remember that actress. Oh, I love that movie because truth be told, I think I've talked about this before. I worked in healthcare. I was actually a radio announcer. I guess it's not that surprising, right? But my first job was in Kansas City on the station KUDL, and I had a show called Cuddle or KUDL at night, Cuddle at Night. And it was a call in dedication show. So, yes, because she was a radio DJ too, or a radio announcer, I love that movie because I have to tell you, oh God, I should do a video on this. I was at the station all by myself and I had the night shift at the radio station. And this was in Kansas and it would snow, pitch dark outside. I'm all by myself. If any of you live in Kansas, if you know the station KUDL, yes, I used to be there. And I'd have some weird people calling because it was a call-in dedication show. I'd have like really weird calls. And oh boy, I should start telling some stories from then. But that's why I love the movie The Fog, because I could relate. Such a well-made movie. Patrick says, anyone prepared better have good security or someone else will be enjoying the stockpile. Yeah, agreed. And here is, and I've thought about that a lot, and kind of how my family has thought about all these things is the little that I've prepared or set back, I'm going to share with my neighbors because look, I'm not going to live forever and I'm not going to be a hermit, and you can't make it as a lone wolf. And my plan is to help out my neighbors if they need it, friends and family that come, because I have a feeling if something goes down, like people could stay at our house as long as they don't mind the shadow people. Right? Hey, don't mind that shadow person, but you could sleep in the family room on the pull-out couch. Yeah, but my plan is to kind of share with neighbors too. So that's kind of what I say in my mind when I'm preparing or prepping things because the power can go out at any time. I think we all need to be prepared. And also, I'm kind of glad I did prepare a little bit because the price of everything is like, it's ridiculous. Like, I'm so glad I prepared because I'm like, well, I'm glad I bought that shampoo and conditioner 5 years ago that I haven't opened yet because now it costs like 3 times more. So there's that too. But let's see. Or someone else would be enjoying the stockpile. What more am I going to say about that? Again, it's good to get out and to know your neighbors because we do know each other. And I hope we would form a little community. But honestly, here in the desert, like where we are, I don't know. It would be hard to survive out here for sure. So I don't know. I like the series of haunted hospitals. The first episode was the best. It was the one where the Archangel Azrael, the angel of death, wanted to release the suffering women from suffering. Yeah, I've watched many episodes of haunted hospitals. I like how they make it a little bit more dramatic. And I've told you guys, back when I worked in the hospital, just so you know, every hospital has that room, like the haunted room, because when I was a newbie working in the hospital, it was just so fun to haze the newbies. And they would say, hey, yeah, can you go in that room and get something out of there? And that was the haunted room. I've heard water running in that room. I've seen lights go on and off. And then we'd be sitting at the station and the call light would go off in that room and nobody was in that room. I promise you, every hospital has a room like that or a story similar. And so that's a real thing. And that's in Phoenix, Arizona. I don't want to mention what hospital because I've worked in more than three. Let's see, that one. No, I worked in 4 major hospitals in Phoenix. And let me just tell you, every hospital has a haunted room, if not more than one. Okay, so there's that. Let's see. That book bothered. Okay, so Shelley says the book bothered me about nursing home patients. Do you mean that EMP book? Because if there is an EMP, the nice thing about nursing facilities, though, a lot of them can walk. And a long time ago, when I worked in a nursing facility, when I was first getting into healthcare, they told us you cannot abandon your patient. If there's an emergency, you must come in, which is great. They do that with hospitals too. Like you kind of take an oath. Like if there's an emergency, you must go in and help. And if you're at the facility, you cannot abandon your patients. And so it would be up to us to figure out how we're going to transfer that patient to a gurney or a wheelchair and get them out of the facility and hopefully have family pick them up or get them somewhere safe. And we now again, this was a long time ago. Again, I think healthcare is a little bit broken now. So, but I would like to think that is the same thing that goes on today. So what happened in that book, yeah, I guess I could see that happening at some facilities, but at least the ones here in Arizona, yeah, you pretty much take an oath to not abandon your patients and make sure they're safe and cared for. Even if the apocalypse is happening, you don't abandon your patients. So if that makes you feel better. Which is I'm kind of relieved I don't work in the hospital anymore because I would always worry, oh, if there's an emergency, I got to go into the hospital. Like I have to leave my family, but that's what I signed up for. So yeah. Okay. Same with police, right? Police and firefighters, they have a duty to report. Okay. So EMP aware over here. Life is a gift. What part of the country are you in? Life is a gift. Are you guys all aware of EMPs? Am I just kind of talking I'm talking to preaching to the choir here. Do you guys mind giving a thumbs up if you already are familiar with EMP and if you think you're prepared for it? I think that's a really good topic, by the way. How long have I been on here? Oh, an hour and a half. Okay, that's not too bad. I've done this for 2 hours before, so we can still keep going. Let's see. Very, very aware. Be prepared for sure. That's good to hear. Hide the food in the hidden room. Yeah. 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 The thing with hiding food, I made a mistake. I bought one of those 25-year food supplies. I'm embarrassed to say how much it cost. I feel like I was an idiot before I really knew how to prep. And it came in these like huge buckets, oh my God, they delivered like all these buckets. I'm like, where am I going to put all these buckets? So I put them out in the shed and it's all gone bad. So I thought, okay, don't do that. I prepare differently now. But it's good to prep because you figure out what to do and what not to do. So hiding it in the hidden room, you have to rotate the food too. I did have a food stock and then I looked at it and like one can burst. It was weird. It turned black. Like what the heck? And then it ruined all the cans. So you have to constantly rotate your food supply, your water supply. So yeah, it's a little bit of work, but that's okay. Scott says, looking at generators, battery backup, and solar power. Yes, I have all that because again, I'm going to be helping my neighbors. We're going to have a street that works over here. And it's nice too to learn skills. I mean, obviously I can suture someone up. I have a lot of medical supplies. I can remove minor things. I can't remove an appendix. I'm not a surgeon, but I can do minor surgery. I've delivered a baby before. I could do that if I had to. I'm not an OBGYN, so I don't really want to, but if I had to, I would know what to do. I can do most medical things, and I think that brings a lot to the table, so that's nice. So that in a way is kind of preparedness, but yeah, I have other things prepared too. So the faucet that would turn off by itself. Everybody has that in a hospital. My grandmother got me into nurse doctor hospital shows back in the 70s. I'm still hooked on hospital stuff. I should have been a nurse. I know. There were some really good hospital shows. And there's a new one. I don't watch regular TV anymore, but I might have to watch is it going to be on channel the NBC? They're going to do a spoof of the emergency room and it looks really funny. I might have to watch that one because it looks funny. I forget the name of it, but it's coming out in September, I think. Essential personnel. Yeah. Nursing homes have generators. Yes, so do hospitals. So, but how long will those generators last? So yeah, it's good to have those solar batteries. They used to put out the lithium ones, so you can really get a good price on a large lithium battery. I bought my mom one because I didn't want her to be without, and I thought that was nice. But the lithium batteries are all on sale now. You can get the I'm not sponsored, you guys know that. But Jackery makes all these different sizes, and sometimes it's good to have the small one in your car because you never know when your car is going to break down. You can charge your cell phone, you can run a fan, you can turn a light on. It's really good to have those. And then they come with solar panels too, so you can just recharge them with the sun. I think it's a 10-year life on those, but now they have the what are they called? The phosphate ones. The what are the new batteries called? They're a little bit more expensive, but they have more shelf life. Forgot what they're called. Something phosphate. But you can pick up the lithium batteries for a good price right now from Jackery and things like that. My grandmother got me. Oh, yeah, I read that. Okay, so that didn't work out so well for Rick in The Walking Dead. Essential personnel. Oh. I know the drill. You have an oath to protect and save your patients. Yeah. But that's how it was. And again, I don't work in the hospital anymore. I'm in private practice now. And again, I do work in another facility, which goes unnamed because I don't want to get fired. Because I don't know. You never know. Social media stuff. But yeah, we all kind of knew, like, I think they said if you don't report and when there's an emergency, like you're done. You'll lose your license. Like, plus it's like the right thing to do. Like you signed up for this. So there you go. EMP, have your Faraday boxes and bags to shield your electronics. How do you do that? Like I've thought about using like Reynolds wrap, but do you have a metal garbage can? Like how do you do that? I have over $100 worth of ramen noodles. Yeah, that's good if you have some protein to mix in there because you want to have a little bit of protein in there. Where is it? Is it El Salvador that just rounded up all their gang members in prison and they will only feed them carbohydrates like ramen. They will not give them any protein. Is it El Salvador where they just did that? And now they have like no crime because they rounded up all the gang members, the tattooed people in gangs, and they only feed them carbs. No protein. So you got to have a plan for protein. Just saying. And vitamins, ramen noodles, that's fine. It'll fill you up, but you got to figure out your vitamin plan, your nutrition. I can barely afford my weekly groceries. I'm so unprepared. Yeah, you know what the good thing is, and I've learned so much. I have learned so much. Like you can just go to the grocery store and get a bag of rice. I always stick my bag of rice in the freezer first for a couple days, just in case there's like bugs or eggs in my rice, because rice will last forever. And then you take that $1 bag of rice and just put it in a little jar. So like I'll wash out jelly jars or whatever kind of jars you have a product in, wash them out really good, let it dry really good. I usually put mine out in the sun to kill the germs. And then you put your rice in there and make sure the jar is dry. And then I'll put my rice in there and then I'll use it. Like, again, I rotate stuff because you don't want stuff to go moldy. You don't want to get a problem, but you can start small. Just start small. Just get that one bag of dollar rice. Just start small, start somewhere, just do something. Right. Or if you absolutely can't even afford that dollar bag of rice, it's good to learn skills. Like, every now and then, like something I'm like, how do you set a broken arm again? Because if you don't do it a lot, you forget. So then I'll go and relearn that or watch something. So whatever you're good at, brush up on that skill. So like you're really good at it. And it's funny because nobody talks about it, but the people I work with in healthcare, we talk about this stuff all the time. So no one talks about it on regular media, but like everyone I talk to, we talk about it. So it's just good in general, just to be a helpful person that has some skills and has a little preparation. I've watched the untold stories of the ER. Some are very funny. Generators got flooded in Florida during the hurricane. Yeah, probably the gas powered ones, right? The nice thing here in the desert, we're not going to get flooded. 21 years teaching survival, primitive living skills. Learn how the indigenous people in your area survived. They were smart. Yeah, like the Native Americans here, they formed the canal system that we still use to this day. So when the water dries up, thank God we have canals, but you have to learn how to filter water. And you can learn all these things. You just start somewhere. Okay. Worked at a physical therapy facility that had been a morgue. It was haunted. We moved and the ghost followed to the new building. My gosh. Yeah. Well, I believe that. Scott, you have a Jackery? Yeah. Solar panels. Yeah, I actually just got some more solar panels because I thought, well, I need backups to backups. So, because if I'm helping all my neighbors, I'm going to be like, yeah, you can charge stuff here over at my house, and then I'll just recharge with the solar panels. And that's what I'm planning to do anyway, because I'm hoping they will have something to bring to the table. Don't know what that is yet, but a tub full of medical supplies. Yeah, that's good. That's a good start. Scott, yes, metal boxes are good Faraday boxes, but you have to put foil inside. Okay. Yeah. We do have a large metal safe. I wonder if I'll have to look into if I have to line that with aluminum foil. Anyway, Lisa, start with 5 cans a week. That's good advice because sometimes canned food can go on sale, even though I know prices are insane. Every now and then when I'm at the grocery store, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's on sale for 89 cents. I don't need it, but I'm just going to get it because 89 cents. Right. So just take advantage of every now and then. If it's a food, like you're like, because even if you won't eat it, maybe your neighbor loves, peach tidbits or pineapple cubes or tomato paste, whatever. So there. But again, you got to rotate them. Don't let them sit too long. Life is a gift. Jackery and solar panels are a good idea. Absolutely. Because I forget how many cycles it lasts for, but more than I will probably ever use. And they say to practice it now. And that is such good advice because our power, we had a brownout. I've talked about this before. If you guys have heard this, we did have a brownout. All our power went out, but I had been practicing. So I knew exactly what to do. I plug this in here. This goes here. We were up and running in no time. So you have to practice with some of the things you're prepared for. So you're not like floundering in the dark. And you want to always keep your batteries charged and you can try to use the batteries now. Like I said, you can have them in the car or just have them in the kitchen and try to use stuff with it. So you can see how many watts it takes up, how many amps. Like, you want to get used to these things. Anyway, you guys know all this. I wouldn't keep lithium batteries in a hot car, especially Arizona. That is a good point. When I say I bring them in the car with me, that's assuming my car is on with the air conditioner. I would never leave it there. And I don't want it to get stolen. And it's pretty lightweight. It has a handle. So I just take it with me. But if we go on trips and stuff, I bring one of the batteries because you just never know. I have a gas powered generator. It only lasts as long as the LP lasts. Let's see. Grocery prices in Canada are off the grid. It's just my one catch pays $300 grocery bill. Well, I'm just saying the price of everything anywhere, it's out of control. That's why, and that's why it is good to have a little bit put back because when you have a little bit more, you feel a little bit better because these prices are not coming down anytime soon. In fact, I think they're going to keep going up. One can cut a cedar branch and use it as a filter. I think that there is an actual way, like you can take again, this is on YouTube, like there's a layer of rocks and then you do a layer of sand. Not that people have a lot of charcoal laying around unless you have a fish tank. You do a slight little layer of charcoal, or you can crush up the charcoal briquettes you have that you barbecue with. And you make these layers and it will filter out the water, but then you still need to boil the water. And that's why it's good to figure out what is your power source going to be. We're lucky we have an outdoor fireplace. I mean, we have a fireplace in the house, but just in case it's hot, I don't really want to put a fire on in the house, but we do have an outdoor fireplace. So that's, to me, my backup kitchen outside. So think of your plan now. So if something happens, you're not panicking. I'm in Augusta, Georgia, Fort Gordon, now Fort Eisenhower. Oh yeah, Georgia Cyber Center. You got a lot going on there, Kim. You have a lot. Oh, lithium. Is it lithium phosphate? Lithium iron phosphate is the new rechargeable batteries that last longer and don't catch on fire. Yeah. Luckily with I keep my lithium batteries in a very, very refrigerated area. Yeah, I don't keep them in my shed or outside. No. The Omega Man with Charlton Heston. He could shop for free in daylight before the vampires woke up. Yeah. There was that movie with Will Smith is the new remake of that movie. Yeah, gosh, I just don't even want to experience. And I don't want to listen, if something goes down, whether it's before the election, against whether it goes right or left or whatever, this country is so divided. It doesn't matter which way it goes, or if the Middle East, just be prepared, because could the price of things go through the roof? Or I am very concerned about an EMP. A lot of experts say solar flares in itself, because of the Brett Weinstein, if you guys ever watch Dark Horse podcast, talks about the pole shift, and he talks about this has happened before. There's geological records of it. Pole shift happens, the magnetism that kind of protects our Earth from solar storms. That's why you see the Aurora Borealis move more south. It's because the magnetic shield around the Earth is weakened when the poles are shifting, literally the magnetic poles shifting. And so we're more likely to get a solar flare, which could cause an EMP. But honestly, with all the strife in the world, I think it could be man-made too. Water straws are good to get filtered water. Yeah, I love that. So I'll get those as gifts. You can buy the water bottles that have the filter in them, which is great because you can fill them in a pond or a lake or a dirty canal. And as you're drinking, it just filters the water. It's a whole water bottle. It's really cool. And they're great gifts. And Philips makes one. You can buy it on Amazon and they go on sale. It's not expensive. And so that's great because those last, I want to say 6 months. And that would be a great way to be, okay, I've got somewhat of a water prep because I know I could fill that at some water source. So that's a good idea. I like that idea. Shelly says Brett is great. I agree. Get extra meds too. Yes. Agreed. It's so good to have Benadryl on hand because that can be a lifesaver. Benadryl is great to have on hand. I like ibuprofen. If you can't handle ibuprofen, of course, Tylenol. Tylenol, so it's just really hard because you can only take so much. Well, you can't I think you can take more ibuprofen because I myself could take 800 milligrams. Not that would be a normal dose. It would be 200, but Tylenol's so hard on the liver. Having some pain medicine around like that, Benadryl. I like having baby aspirin because you can save someone's life having a heart attack with chewing on a baby aspirin. Kenji said, I Am Legend. Yes, that is the remake. Thank you. That is, with Will Smith. I hate that movie too because it's just the end of the world and he's the only one there trying to survive. I don't want that. No. Everyone should have several life straws around. Yeah. You can have the life straws. I found another brand. It was a really big water bottle that's fun because it's my water for the day and it filters it. So lately I've just been putting tap water in it because that way it's just extra filtered because again, in Arizona, we have cadmium, arsenic, and lead in our tap water. So, and tons of chlorine. The water's really hard here. Lots of minerals. Kim says common sense is rare and required always, but especially now. Yeah. Yeah, I would say that is the truth. That's absolutely right. Yes, the magnetic pole is shifting. Yeah, isn't it wild? Like everything is happening now. The veil is thinning, the world is divided. I mean, I don't want to get political, so I'm not going to, but I'm just saying, yeah, there's so much going on all at the same time. Yeah. So the way I feel better about it is just making sure, like, if something happens, I can help others and be a hub for friends, family, and neighbors. That's my plan anyway. Oh, and I was talking to another patient, and she's so great because she helps veterans and she forms veteran support groups and raises money for them. She's a wonderful retired lady, and so we were talking about prepping, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm really prepped. Everyone come to my house." But we talked about power and batteries, and that she doesn't have. So um, yeah, so it's good to share information because, um, like, yeah, I don't have a Faraday cage, and I need to up my game on that. I need to figure that out because you do want some things to still work. Um, Cheap prepping books at Goodwill's, absolutely. I do have a library of medical books, history books. I'm old school. I like books, so I have a lot of like, if I needed to, I don't know, check something. I have the actual medical books, which is nice. Scott says Hurricane Sandy is a good example of how desperate people in New York, New Jersey got during an extended power outage. No gas, no shopping or banking. Well, so I guess I don't know. Was it like the book? Was it like that EMP book? Like how desperate are we talking about? Because I just remember I had a friend in medical school and she was her and her family went through Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans. And she said it was literally like the apocalypse. They were sitting out in lawn chairs, all in the dark. The neighborhood was all in the dark, out in their lawn chairs on their driveway. Let's just say fully loaded, right? Fully loaded, and guarding their house in the neighborhood because there was just like gangs of looters going through the neighborhood. And she's like, "Oh yeah, we had to sit outside and like guard our house in the neighborhood in the dark." And I'm like, that is like The Walking Dead. I mean, or, one of those movies. Like, how crazy. And I remember asking her, like, well, did anything ever happen? And she said, yeah, like one time, someone came up, started to have trouble, but they were able to use baseball bats. I don't know. And said, I guess that ran them off. But like they had to come together as a neighborhood. It wasn't just her. It was like they had to come together as a neighborhood. So families were helping families. And again, that's how important it is to at least try to say hi to your neighbors, get to know who they are. Um, so they're not a stranger, like, oh yeah, I know you live there and you live there, because I know there's parts of the country people don't know their neighbors. Okay. What am I missing? Let's see. Costco sells life straws. Oh, good to know. Everyone's preps should consist of water and a water filter. Water, you've got to have your water game on. Absolutely. I got a taste of that because my husband and I, we both have jobs. You pay this bill, I pay this bill. And I think we got our wires crossed. And so the water bill did not get paid. And so one day there was just no water. And so it was a taste of what it was like not having water. Couldn't wash your hands, couldn't take a shower, couldn't make my coffee. Like, you definitely need water. So yeah, get your water plan figured out. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Kim says, I use Voltaren to rub into skin because ibuprofen is too hard on my gut. We took it every day in the Navy. Toradol is my favorite, but only available from a doctor. Yeah, I do like Voltaren. So back in my hospice days, we used to use Voltaren all the time on hospice patients for pain because they couldn't tolerate oral medications. And it wasn't as bad to do like the under the tongue morphine yet or fentanyl patches. Because I know fentanyl gets a bad rap, but there are fentanyl patches that work amazing in the right dose and they don't kill people and they're great for pain. But agreed. I love Voltaren, and Voltaren used to be a prescription. It's over the counter now. It's great. It's not cheap. I want to say it's $25 for a tube, but I think that's a great prep. It is diclofenac. So if you're allergic to non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like ibuprofen, probably don't ever do Voltaren, even though it's diclofenac. It's still in that family. But I do love it topically for bone and arthritis pain. Yeah. Let's see. Kim says keep 10s, 5s, and 1s on hand. Agreed. That always comes in handy because my husband's always asking me, do you have some small bills? Because I need to tip this guy. It's always good to have small bills because you forget, right? Oh yeah. One time I went to go get a cashier's check. Speaking of having small bills, I went to get a cashier's check because I needed to buy something. And man, did they interview me up, left, right, and center. What did I need it for? What was I buying? Did I need it today? Like it was bizarre. I'm like, it's my money. Stop asking me questions. Give me my check. It's just bizarre. So it's always good to have a little cash on hand. The pharmacies here won't give you extra pills for emergencies, and you can only order a refill if you have a few pills left. That makes it hard for people like me who take life-sustaining meds. Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. It's a problem. Antibiotics too. Yes. Just be careful because certain antibiotics, if you let them expire, they can kill you. And one of those is clindamycin, the oral. Let's see, the other ones you can't take if it's expired. Don't take expired doxycycline. There's a few antibiotics that will actually go toxic. So be really careful with antibiotics. It's good to do research beforehand, knowing the shelf life. I like Augmentin because it's safe for children. It has a good shelf life. It doesn't do very well in the heat though. I hate when people talk about get fish antibiotics. I'm like, no, that stuff, like that stuff expires too. You just have to be careful. Do your research, look at shelf life. So the government has a page and they talk about medications and antibiotics. And because they've tested shelf lives on products, like for example, Cipro, which is a very dangerous, medication with a black box warning. Cipro's shelf life, so a lot of times we don't use it as much now, but we used to treat really resistant pneumonias and urinary tract infections with Cipro. Shelf life is 25 years. So I'm like, oh, that's a good one. But yeah, there's other antibiotics like after a year, they'll kill you. So just be really careful with that. You have a Berkey and you love it. Yep. That's good. Very familiar with those. Our utilities got cut off during snow events. I drive to the lake and filter water. Well, that's nice that you have a lake close by. Okay, what does that say? YouTube channel Suspicious Observer. Is that the name of the channel? I will have to check that out. Judith says, boil the water and let it cool down. Pour it into anything that you have. Store it in a cool place. Remember, you can't live without water after 3 days. Yeah, that's why it's good to have a boiling plan. But I also like having the filtering plan also. And if you have coffee filters, I mean, you can filter out a lot of the big chunks if you're using a canal or a pond with the coffee filter and then boil it. Banks are supposed to make sure you aren't being defrauded so they get nosy. Okay, well, that's all right. I'll give it that. But it was my money in my account. I just needed a cashier's check. So, but I guess you're right. Maybe they were worried I was going to give it to someone, give it to a scammer. So that's a good point. Thank you for that. B says Express Script mail order meds. My wife loves it. Yeah, I have a lot of patients that use those, but Express Scripts, I have to say though, oh my gosh, me trying to refill patients through Express Scripts, it's a nightmare and it's a rabbit hole. And I'm not a fan because on my end, as the physician trying to call in refills, it's a nightmare. So there you go. Holy crap. Someone said, didn't know that about antibiotics going bad. Well, good. I'm glad you learned something today. That's a good thing. See, Kim says pharma doesn't seem to recommend the least expensive meds. No, but you know what I also like to use is that website GoodRx. Do you guys use that? It's so great for coupons if you don't have insurance. I do recommend to my patients goodrx.com. It's a great way to get coupons for medications because sometimes they're so much cheaper. So Kim says Express Scripts, they're getting rich and hurting pharmacies. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know all the backstory. I just know they are so hard to get a hold of. And like, I'll put a refill through for them. And then my patient will call me and say, I still don't, they say they never got it. And I'm like, oh my God, I faxed them. I talked to the person, like, what in the world? So I don't like it on my end. I don't like it. Oh, pet food. Yeah, you want to have that too. Okay, you guys. So it's been 2 hours, and I'm sure a lot of you are getting sleepy. Oh, I have to say a few other comments. Alligator horse says, I have horses, but would have to guard them 24/7 if everything fails. Yeah, I actually was reading during World War II when a lot of parts of Europe were starving. I read that like gangs of people would descend on farms and literally just start eating the horses, like just start biting into them. I read that. Like, how horrific. Like, really? Let's hope that's anyway. Candles, yes, medical books, natural healing, yeah. Okay, yeah. So here we were talking about the lost Dutchman mine, and don't we always go off on a tangent? But I thank you. I see all my regular people here. Thank you, guys. This was so fun to do on a Saturday night. I feel like we're all getting to know each other. It's a very good community here, and I very much appreciate all of you. I hope you have a very good night, and we'll see all of you soon. Okay, bye.